I'm going to do something a little bit different today. I'm going to do a quick review on the lathe that I got. It's the Clarke woodworker. It's a 40-inch with a copy and function. Its model number is the CWL 1000CF. I've never done a review before, so please excuse me if I waffle on about other rubbish. And I am no wood turner by any means. I'm new to it. So without further ado, let's have a little chat about this lathe, shall we? So this is the lathe which you've seen me use in a few of my videos. So the lathe is made out of what looks like pressed steel. The only bit that's cast is the headstock area, so that's the most weightiest part of it, but the rest of it's pressed steel, and it looks like it's got some sort of powder coating over the steel. The legs are also made out of pressed steel as well. The total weight of the entire lathe is 60.5 kilos, and the dimensions, the length is 1415 mil by the width is 455, and the height is 1180 mil. The speed, or variable speed, which is controlled by this area here, which I'll go into in a little bit, goes from 600 revs per minute up to 2200, which seems to cover everything that I need to do with it. The distance between centres, or the maximum distance between centre for the maximum spindle turn, is 980 mil. So that's that. The turning capacity, so the biggest bowl you'll probably be able to turn on it is 350 mil, which is not massive, but for a beginner like myself it's more than adequate. So the headstock is 3/4 inch with a 16 TPI, which is, I think, is threads per inch. So that's the size of the threads that's on the headstock here. The headstock taper, which is the taper in here, is an MT1, and on the tailstock is an MT2. Okay. So the motor is a 230 volt, obviously we're in the UK, and also the rating of that is 550 watts. So here's your on-off switch, and this here is the controls for your variable speed. And like I say, it's from 600 revs per minute up to 2200 revs per minute. And the way that this works is you push the lever forward and that releases the spindle inside, and then you turn it. And you can't actually alter the speed while the motor's not running, which can be at times a little bit of a pain, but as long as you pre-plan, that's fine. So you turn it on and you lock it in by pulling it out, and you change it by just twisting it around up to its maximum, and then lock it in place. Move it back a little bit. I've had an issue with this. I'll just move this back. So you've got to force that back and then lock it in place. Now I have had an issue with this, that it's not locking. So sometimes I've been turning and then all of a sudden this does its own thing, and it doesn't like that. It doesn't lock in properly, and there it is, it's doing it again. So there is a little bit of an issue with this, as long as you do it nice and slow, it tends to hold, but it can work its way free if you've got a lot of vibration on the lathe here. So the way I've got round this is just by adding a very thin piece of plastic around the back here while I'm turning, just to give a little bit of pressure on this spindle. But that is one of the issues that I have found with this lathe, whether it's unique to this one or any of the others that are similar sort of style, where you can alter the speed of your lathe, whether they all have the similar sort of problems. I really haven't got a clue. Like I say, I'm new to this. So you get a few tools with it. So you get these two 32mm spanners, which are for the headstock and for you to lock either the plate like so in place on the back and to release it. Disappointingly, as far as I'm concerned, which I am quite disappointed with, is you may get them to alter and to attach your bits onto your headstock, but where it comes round to you moving your tool rest or your tailstock, so the spanner for this you don't get, which lucky enough I've got one that actually fits, is a 22mm, which I find quite shocking really, that you have to adjust the tool rest with a spanner and they don't supply it. Disappointed with that with the lathe. This is the tool rest. Comes with quite a large tool rest. Obviously it's quite a large lathe, so it needs one quite large, but someone like myself that's beginning, I don't think you need one as big as this. Obviously you can order different sizes yourself on the internet, but this one is 12 inches, which is massive. And when you first start turning like I did, this is far too big, because you're only turning very small little pieces, so that's too big in my opinion. So that slides in there, that goes in there, and that locks in. But then you have to tighten up this bolt with the spanner that doesn't come with it, a 22mm, where you need it. Now, for a beginner like myself, that's not too much of a problem, but I can see it very quickly becoming a bit of a pain as your techniques and the speed of you turning things increase, which with somebody like myself, I'm quite handy with my hands anyway. So I think this is going to probably annoy me pretty early on. And the tailstock is exactly the same. You've got two bolts that you have to loosen off, and you slide this up and down the lathe here. Let's get that out of the way. So the tailstock has a threaded adjuster on the back here, which once you put your point to point and your piece of wood in between, you apply your pressure and then adjust your nut on the back. Again, you don't get a spanner or anything that fits this. I haven't got anything that size, but I seem to be doing it okay just by doing it up by hand, which is probably it. What they could have done with is just by having a threaded piece of metal with some sort of something to grip hold of, and just so you can adjust it like that. But it does okay. The only other issue is with me. I ordered a drill end for it. It's a M2 taper, and it goes into the end here. Now, issue I have with this is if this was a more expensive version of a lathe, you probably wouldn't get this. If you can look at the tip here, the amount of movement is roughly about 3 mil. So you need to be really careful with that. But manageable. Manageable to begin with. Just need to take it nice and easy. So, with the headstock, you have a drive spur. Looks like so. That comes with it. And that's a MT1 size that just goes in there. That comes with it. And then for the tail stock, we have, obviously this is the MT2. This has got bearing in there, so that turns, so that goes in there, and you put your piece of work in between these two. That seems to be nice and works well. So to get this out, you'd wind that back and it just pops out. That's that. Now, to get this out, you have this tool, okay, and it's for extracting this. Problem I have is that my lathe's right up against the wall, and in the back here, which I'm not sure if I'll be able to show you. I'm not sure, I don't think I can actually. But around the back here, there's a little cover plate. There's a little tiny cover plate, and you swing that out the way, push this through the hole, and that comes through the centre of the headstock and hit the back of this on the back just to knock it out. So that's your extraction tool, but you know, my lathe's against the wall and I can't get to it. So for me to get that out, all I do is get a pair of pliers either side and then just force it out like so. Doesn't cause any damage to this or to this. I've been doing it ever since I've had it. I've had it for approximately a month, 4 weeks, and that seems to work okay for me. So in with the lathe, you have a faceplate, which this is it. In my opinion, personally, I think this faceplate is far too big. Far too big. For a beginner like myself. Obviously this is a cheaper range of lathe, obviously aimed at the beginner market. But this is a 6-inch faceplate. I think it's far too big for what we'd be turning on here. I think personally it should come up, or should come with a faceplate that's only half that size. I don't see me using that often, so I am going to order a smaller faceplate than what I have there. The reason why I ordered a lathe this size, a 40-inch lathe, was because I want to be able to, or be in a position to make some sort of small stools and so on and so forth. So I want it's the copying function. So this is the copying function. I've not used it yet, so I don't know how it works. I haven't got a clue. I'm sure I'll do a video of me learning how to use it, or getting it all wrong, one or the other. So this is it. So the piece you're copying goes around the back here and goes in between two centres around the back, and then there's a piece. Let's take it from here. I'll tell you what. Get a closer look. So this little piece here will run along the spindle that you're copying, which will go between centres here, between that centre there, where you unscrew that and this plate drops out the way, and this one here, do the same with that. And so the spindle will be in between there, and this will follow it, and then it's under tension from this here, and applies tension to that. Then in here you put your tool. So it comes with 3 cutting tools, okay, which are these just up here. Again, like I say, I've not used them, so I don't know what they're gonna behave like, or which ones are for what. But you put it in there, lock that in. You've got this tool that comes with the kit as well. Why it's so long, I haven't got a clue. There's no way I'll be putting myself in the area where it's turning, so it just seems a little bit excessive having the tool that long to do that. But anyway, you lock it in, and then this piece, the cutting tool, will carve the shape from the spindle at the back into the piece of wood that you've got. So you obviously start from back here, lock it in place, allow it to rest against there, apply the pressure, advance this forward onto the wood, not too much, close that off, and then just slowly start following by turning this handle down here. Start following the spindle at the back there. This will then follow and change the angle on the piece of wood that you're cutting. That's what I assume. I don't know, I've not used it, but that's that. So when it comes down to it, am I happy with the lathe? Yes, I am. A few little bits and pieces that I'm not overjoyed about, but you know, they're all workable, and the lathe is workable, and I'm really enjoying turning with this lathe. Would I advise anybody else to buy it? I think it's down to personal preference myself. Like I say, it suits me, and like I say, I hope it's going to last me at least a couple of years before I probably think about getting something a little bit more substantial, as my turning capabilities increase over time. Like I say, I'm going to put some pictures of some of the items that I've turned. You've seen some of them on the videos that I've done, just so you can have a look. I've had to have some sort of steep learning curves with some of the bits and pieces, but that's a part of learning, isn't it? I believe. Yeah, happy with it. If there's anything you want to know about the lathe, just pop it down in the comments below, and I'll hopefully try and get back to you with an answer. Other than that, I hope you enjoyed this little video, something I've never done before, a bit of a review on the lathe. There we go. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you next week. See you later. Bye bye.